Hey, what's going on, people? It's been a long time since I put up a video, and I've just been busy with work. That's the answer I'm going to give you guys. Work comes before YouTube, family comes before YouTube, so there's that. I've just been really busy. I've been concentrating on getting my life together so that I can get to a point where I'm pretty satisfied with my living conditions. So there's that. Now, this will be my review of Captain America Winter Soldier. I saw it yesterday. Uh, I was talking to some people on Facebook. I gave my general thoughts on it, and I said I might be able to put out a review of this movie, but I'm not going to make any promises. So here I am making a video and doing a review of Marvel's latest cinematic movie. So, general thoughts, non-spoiler part of the video. I loved it. I thought it was great. I think this should be the standard for Marvel movies. Oh yeah, I forgot to show you guys. Got my Captain America shirt on here. This is when he's fighting Wolverine. But anyway, yeah, I love the movie. I think this movie should be the standard for future Marvel films. Not just with Marvel Studios, just period. Because this movie did everything right. It was well balanced. It was well acted. It was well paced. Uh, it just did everything right. It hit all the stuff that I wanted it to do. And this is the Marvel movie I've been waiting for since post Avengers. Iron Man 3 and Iron Man 2, for that matter, in my personal opinion, are garbage. I think they're shit films. That's just the way I feel about it. Thor: The Dark World I thought was better than the first movie, but still it was lacking something. Uh, but this movie is not post Avengers. This is not lacking really much of anything. It hits all the right notes. So first, let me start off by talking about the characters. I'll start off with Cap. Cap is in a position where he has to adjust to a cynical world. The world has changed a lot, and this is something that we can relate to in the real world. Cap is having to deal. Steve Rogers is having to deal with the fact that America has become really a country that doesn't trust itself, that doesn't trust its people, and it's really interesting the way they presented that, because with technology things have changed. I mean, our everything is on the internet now. You can find everything on the internet. You have tablets, you have iPads, iPhones, you have all types of stuff, and everything is becoming digital. I mean, they got satellites in the sky that can literally spy on us. I mean, when you're talking on the phone, your phone might be wiretapped or something like that. So he has to deal with that fact, and not only that, he's still a man out of time in an in a brand new world, and he's adjusting to that. And I really like the themes that they touched upon in this movie. I really like that they really put these themes in this movie, because they did a because it says a lot, uh, especially in a superhero movie, in a Marvel Studios movies, which have been pretty jokey and kind of kiddish. But this is a mature film, and the way they present these themes are in a very mature manner. Now, getting back to the themes of technology and whatnot, Cap has to deal with that, but he also has to deal with the fact of, who do you trust in this type of cynical world? I mean, do you trust Shield? They might be up to some really shady things. Do you trust the guy next to you? Do you trust the girl next to you? Do you trust your friends? Do you trust the Avengers? Do you trust yourself? These type of questions he has to ask himself, and I really like that. You know, he's not um, completely confident in himself. You know, in this movie, you know, he's really lost and he's really confused, um, and that's just how our world has become. I mean, our enemies aren't going to come into. They aren't going to it's not going to be like World War II. You know, our enemies really are so much different. They're really right here at home. Uh, and they really brought that up with Shield and with Hydra. They did a great job with that. So I really like Cap's character development, his character arc, and it's stuff that he had to deal with in terms of the type of world that not only America has become, but just the general world has become. Very cynical and a very uh, untrustworthy type of world. And how do you live and exist in that and work with these people beside you? The movie does a good job of answering that. So I really liked Captain America in this movie. Um, Natasha, I thought was interesting in this movie. She had an interesting arc herself. Natasha Romanoff, aka Black Widow. Of course, Scarlett Johansson did a good job with her again. And like I said, the acting in this movie is great. Uh, Chris Evans does a good job as Cap, and like I said, Natasha uh, is great in this film. Her character arc is really about exposing her past sins, which they really don't touch upon. But I'm assuming they're going to. They'll probably give her like a mini series or something like that, or a solo film or whatever. But her arc is really trying to not uncover her past, but uh, really bring her past sins to flourishing and deal with the stuff that she's had to do in her past life with being a spy and things of that nature. So I thought her character arc was really interesting, and like I said, it's well acted. And she has some really good fight scenes in here as well. Um, Nick Fury, I thought was really. I thought this was the best Sam Jackson has done with Nick Fury, and the best Marvel has done with. I mean, the writers and everybody has done with this character. Because for me, Nick Fury in the movies hasn't really been that interesting of a character. He's been kind of, like I said, he's been kind of jokey, he's been kind of hokey, kind of a gimmick. I mean, he has some pretty interesting stuff in the Avengers, but besides that, especially in Iron Man 2, he was really kind of a joke. Like, I didn't really feel like this dude had been in a war, that he had been through some really serious shit, and he didn't really come off as a dude. He didn't really invoke that Nick Fury attitude that I was looking for. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't that Sam Jackson's acting was bad. It was just that the material he was given with the material he was given was mediocre to just bad. Like, I didn't feel the essence of Nick Fury before, but in this movie I feel like this dude has gone through a lot of stuff. Even though we don't get a full backstory on him, the stuff that we do get with him in this film, I feel like this dude has gone through some really serious shit, and I can tell that this dude is a warrior. He's a badass spy and whatnot. The only thing I wish they would add with Nick Fury in the movies is the life model decoy. I would like to see him use that, because that's one of the things about Nick Fury is you never know if it's the real Nick Fury. In the comics, you never know. In the 616 universe, you never know if it's the real Nick Fury that you're talking to or if it's a life model decoy that you're talking to. He's always very secretive, and he very rarely shows his true self. So I would like to see more of that in future films if Sam Jackson is going to keep with the role. But what they did with him in this movie, I thought was really, really good. He had an interesting character arc, and he had a good sense of morality, which is something, again, like in the 616 universe, you're always kind of questioning Nick Fury's sense of morality. He's always kind of very secretive, and you really don't know if he's a good guy or if he's a bad guy. But in this film, it's pretty clear that to us, the audience, maybe not to the characters in the film, but it's pretty clear to us, the audience, that Nick Fury is a good person and he wants to do the right thing, but he has to pull the strings, so to speak. He has to do some things he might not want to in order to keep the world safe. Uh, so there's that. And like I said, I really like Nick Fury in this film. I think this is the best they've done with him. And honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing a Nick Fury backstory miniseries or Nick Fury film with Sam Jackson if it's going to keep with this quality. Now let's get on with the other characters in here. Falcon, Anthony Mackie. This was the character I was most looking forward to in this film, and he knocked it out of the park. I was like, as soon as he was on screen, I liked him. I immediately connected with him. I immediately enjoyed his character. Anthony Mackie has always been to me like an underrated actor, but lately he's been getting big, and he does a good job with this character. I know he said he wanted the full white and red costume, which I would like to see that too. Uh, but the costume that he has in here is more of the Ultimate from the Ultimate comics, and it looks good. Like he has some good moments, good action scenes, good character stuff. He's a character that is similar to Captain America. He's similar to Steve Rogers, but you know, he looks up to Steve Rogers, but he's not afraid to kind of do his own thing. You know, he's got his own story. He's not a token black character. You know what I mean? He's not a magical Negro. He's actual character, and I like that a lot. Like I said, I just thought he knocked it out of the park, and I want to see more Falcon in future films. Not just alongside of Captain America as sort of his sidekick, but like his own story, his own character, his own life. I want to see more of him. So I thought Anthony Mackie did a good job with this character, and me being black African American, it's always good to see a brother on the screen and doing his thing and putting out uh, a positive character out there in the market that kids can look up to, young black boys can look up to, and kind of admire. So that's always a plus for me. Um, Now let's get on with the villains. Winter Soldier was really good. He was very mute, and the way that his character is presented, I liked a lot. If you read the comics Winter Soldier by Ed Brubaker, you pretty much know the story. The movie does a good job with sticking with that story, but they do take some liberties. It's not a slave to the comic. Uh, but I thought that what they did with him in this movie, how they presented him, was really cool. Action was great. His character was really interesting and mysterious. And, the more you find out about him that he's been experimented on is Bucky and things like that, you're just like, wow, this is really, really interesting stuff. And I especially like this scene at the end where him and Captain America are having a fight. And his memory is starting to come back. He's like, when he first fights him, he's like, who the hell is Bucky Barnes? Cap takes off his mask, and he's like, Bucky? And then Bucky looks back at him. He's like, who the hell is Bucky Barnes? And, his memory has been wiped by Hydra. They found him when he fell, and they experimented on him. They put him in a metal arm, and they wiped his memory clean. He's basically, I wouldn't even say Winter Soldier is a villain, as he's a victim. He's a victim of mind washing, a victim of Hydra. He's one of Hydra's experiments. And to think about it, his character really is going to be really interesting to see what they do with him in the future, because he has a lot to deal with. I mean, imagine fighting in a war and having, you fail, your arm was cut off, and then some enemy finds your body, does all types of experiments on you, puts a new arm on you, and then they wipe your memory clean. Like, they took everything that was Bucky away from him. So that's really an interesting thing with Bucky. I mean, I don't know if they're gonna follow more of the comics, what they do with him in future movies, but I'm really interested. I'm really interested to see what they're gonna do with Bucky in the future, because he does save Captain America, and that shows at the end of the movie when Captain's in the water. He does pull him out of the water, and he kind of walks away and just he's trying to figure out what the hell's going on. You know, is Captain America telling the truth? Is Hydra telling the truth? Who do I trust? Again, we're going back to that theme of trust. So his character is, like I said, I don't consider him a villain, as he's more of a victim of war and a victim of Hydra, but in particular. Now, speaking of Hydra, I like how they did Hydra in this movie. What they did with Zolo was fucking cool, man. Like he was in a computer, and these really old computers and stuff like that, in a really secret underground place, you know. And I thought that was like that. That's some really cool, like comic bookish stuff that they put in there. I was like, that was awesome. And just the Hydra agents in general. You know, the whole thing with Hydra in the comics is, you know, the whole slogan is you know, I mean, if you know about mythology, the dragon Hydra, once you cut off one head, another head grows back on. Or Orochi, as it's known in other mythologies. But Hydra is a mythological dragon that Hercules fought, and he cut off his head, and two more heads grow. Cut off two more heads, four more heads grow. So it's like, you know, even though Hydra was compromised in this movie, they were found out. Hydra's not gone. You know, once you cut off one of them, once you kill one of them, two more are still around. So it's really hard. And you know, it goes back to that theme. I mean, with Hydra being in everywhere, they're everywhere. They're like a virus. You know, you think once you think you've gotten rid of a virus, it's still got a little bit of something lurking around in it, in your system or in a computer or anything. That's the thing about a virus. You really never know if a virus is really gone or not, unless you completely wipe it clean. And I mean, I like that the enemies in this movie, they weren't black and white. You know, they weren't just, oh, we're gonna take over the world or something like that. Like, it was, their whole thing was, they thought they could bring about world peace by control, forcing world peace, and you cannot force peace. That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing of Hydra's flaw, is that they think they can force peace, and you can't. Even if they had succeeded, it wouldn't have been peace. It would have been another form of slavery. So I thought their whole motivation was interesting, and it was really, again, well presented. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about the characters in the movie. I talked about the themes. You know, the most impressive thing about this was really the character stuff. It really was. I really can't touch on anything else that really impressed me about the movie. Like I said, the action in this movie is spectacular. It's groundbreaking. It has a James Bond slash Jason Bourne type fight scenes going on. This movie does a much better job of showing off Cap's abilities. And in the first Avenger, my problem was the overuse of CGI, and really mostly Cap just used his shield for the fighting. And he does that in this movie, but we really get to see the martial arts training that he's had, the military training, and it just looks really cool. I didn't see it in 3D or anything like that. Excuse me. And I don't think it was really meant to see it in 3D, but I would like to see it in IMAX, because the cinematography is really good. The camera work in here is amazing. There's some really cool action bits in this movie, and it all fits well with the story. It all makes sense. You know, it's not just action, you know, just for the meatheads or just to have action there. It actually makes sense and correlates with the story. You know, the fights that's going on in the middle of the street in broad daylight with a bunch of people with a bunch of, you know, citizens watching on. They're like, what the hell's going on? And then they see Captain America, they see Black Widow, and they're like, whoa, what's happening? So action was just top notch shit, man. Just great job of showing off Captain America's abilities. One more thing I want to talk about is the events. So the events of Iron Man 3, Thor: The Dark World, and Winter Soldier, I'm gonna assume takes place around the same time because I mean they make references to the other Avengers in here and stuff like that. They're like, yeah, Stark did built these things for us, but I'm wondering if all of this stuff is happening around the same time because they didn't mention the Avengers. I mean, I mean these universes are connected, so you're kind of like wondering when all this stuff was happening, why didn't they just go, well, let's call the Avengers? But I guess, Nick Fury felt that, hey, let's not rely too much on the Avengers. We got our let's up our own game in Shield. And another thing is Shield was I mean, Natasha pretty much exposes all of Shield's and Hydra's secrets, including her own. So does that mean that Shield is completely just out of business now, or what? Like I don't know what to think about that. So that's going to be interesting to see what they do with Shield. I mean, I don't watch Agents of Shield, the TV show, so maybe they'll answer that in the show. But I don't know. We'll see what's going to happen with Shield. I know Samuel L. Jackson's contract is probably up because he said don't expect to see much of Nick Fury in Avengers 2. So it's going to be interesting to see how they work that out. Maybe Tony will become the new head of Shield because it seems like to me Nick Fury. I mean, he said he was going to Europe for something. Maybe somebody can answer that in the comments. But as I remember, he said he's going out to Europe and looking for something. So I'm guessing he's done with Shield. Shield's gone. So we'll have to see where they take that. But other than that, grade A movie. Like I said, this should be the standard for Marvel. The movie didn't overload us with really bad slapstick humor. Every character served a purpose in this film. Nobody was in this movie and didn't serve a purpose. Everybody has something important to do. And I mean, I think this is the best franchise Marvel has going right now. I mean, I think it's better. I think Winter Soldier is better than Iron Man. Any of the Iron Man sequels, I think, is better than Dark World. I think it's better than Incredible Hulk. I think it's better than really anything Marvel's put out. I'd even say it's better than the Avengers because just the themes, the stuff that's going on in this movie is so interesting. It's really a spy movie. That's really what this movie is. It's a spy movie, just with Captain America thrown in there. So I'll leave that off. Bloody Days, Gory Nights gets a 10 out of 10 blood drops from me. And I will talk to you guys later on. Peace.